My name is Jurgen Wiehan. I've been in engineering and software for over 20 years, probably closer to 25 years right now. Started my career in South Africa and then spent about 6 years in the UK working for a market research company as a software engineer. And as I grew in that role, decided to move back to South Africa, where I then spent a good few years also doing software engineering for the same organization. And then we looked to open up an office and create operations out of South Africa, which I then led and had responsibility both for software engineering as well as for the operations of the office. And around 12 years later, I moved over to India, still with the same company, and ran the engineering team over there, as well as, again, the office. So I had responsibility for HR and finance. Engineering grew quite a lot. We were initially 4 people. By the time I left, we were close to 100. So we needed to think quite a lot about how we grew our teams to be effective. And then, when was it? Last year, I wrapped up at Euromonitor, which was a market research company, and moved over to Germany to join Wunderflats, which is very different. It's a startup which is now looking to scale. And so, the way we work and the kind of team sizes and the team dynamics is very different, but has its challenges and super exciting. Lead the engineering teams. Like many, I think, people nowadays as well, I've probably got introduced to technology through gaming, working a little bit on PCs, and then just trying to think a little bit more about how different products are built, get a better understanding of that. I think during my studies, I've probably met 1 or 2 people who helped me in my career and the development thereof. And the first thing I actually did when I finished studying was take up a contract with an organization in South Africa. And we were really small, a small team, and we worked inside a big insurance company and started looking at how we could improve their products. And, I probably learned a lot from my boss then, because it was just the 2 of us. And actually, a year or 2 after that, we actually started a startup together. And I think that definitely helped me get a better understanding of technology, but also helped my knowledge and growth probably in thinking about product and thinking about marketing, thinking about, what our end users, what an end user is really after. Unfortunately, after a year, we shut that down. It didn't quite work out, and that's how I then ended up in London. But I'd say, my first boss, definitely helped me get a good understanding of, just understanding the user and understanding what people are after, and not always just about what it is that we build as software engineers. You've got to be very methodical, I would say, in your thinking and your approaches to problem solving. And you probably got to really focus on understanding why we are trying to solve a specific problem. In terms of the skill sets themselves, I mean, technology is ever advancing. There's always new tech on the market. And I think if you start focusing a little bit on some of the core competencies, that is always going to be a really great place for you to begin. As you're developing in your role, you've got to really be dedicated to, and I say developing, it's not just 1 or 2 years, maybe it's 5 years, and then you start getting into a habit where you're continuously learning. And that is really important for us in technology, because like I mentioned earlier, the technology stack is changing all the time. So I think when you look at that, it's crucial that you not only consider what you're learning and how you're contributing at a business level, but also how you put time aside to grow yourself. Every organization, or many organizations, give time at work where you're actually developing yourself and maybe building up your craft a little bit, but it's not enough. And I think as you grow your career, it's really important to put time aside where you can focus on your own development, whether that be weekends or evenings, whether that be putting time aside in the morning before you get stuck into work, reading things. I think that's really crucial. We don't want everybody to jump on the bandwagon of the newest tech, but you've got to remain updated and make sure that, again, like I said, you're building your technology and domain knowledge over a period of time. And especially that happens probably in those more foundational years, maybe as you start as a junior or trainee software engineer to software engineer. And then I think you have that cadence and that way of continuous learning already built into you. It does take effort at the start. I think AI is on everybody's mind, and if you don't adapt and don't start using some of these technologies, you're probably going to get left behind. We need to remain relevant as an organization. We're doing a little bit. We could probably do a little bit more, to be completely honest. But I think when you look at AI, ChatGPT, some of the other tools that are out there, Copilot for engineers to help them with their coding or to get some insight into things and to be more efficient. I think that to me is the key. How can we be more effective, more efficient as an organization and as an engineering team? There's definite in some fields in technology, I think there's quite a bit of resistance still towards AI and that kind of growth in technology. But I think there are specific areas where it adds true value. And those are the areas we should be using products like ChatGPT or like other AI tools to create these efficiencies. It's not a one size fits all. It's not something that we would say, this is the way you should be doing it. These are the tools you should be using for every kind of job. I don't think that makes sense. But there are absolute, I think, gains to be had in terms of efficiencies that AI and tools like that bring to the market. I think at Wunderflats, it's a similar approach, right? We're interested in housing. We're interested in matching tenants with landlords and allowing people to work really from anywhere. And that's what we're trying to get. And the internet has created a platform and opportunity for us to do that. There's a lot of excitement you're going to get out of that type of a role. The opportunities, as we spoke about in the last question there about AI, what's happening in our world right now, there's still a huge amount of change and evolution that can happen. And if you think back to years that have gone by when we had mobile phones, which were small and bricky, and look where we are right now. Technology has created that, and good products have created those kind of environments. But I think for somebody starting out, the key is, or thinking about a career in technology is, it's hard work. It takes a lot of time and effort, but the rewards are big. It's continuous learning. And I said that earlier, where maybe in some industries or in some kind of roles or jobs outside of technology, you probably go home, you switch off, and the next day you come and you do your job again. I think technology, you're evolving continuously. And so the effort is there, but the passion that you get, and if you're passionate about it, I think the rewards are high. So I think dedication up front, putting good practices in place, learning, I think when you're at that early career, and like I said, just getting good methods in place is probably a really good place to start. And then as your career evolves, one of the other things that I really love is we're working on restructuring of our teams and thinking about how we can deliver quicker, have a good flow of work. And again, there's so many methodologies and there's so many ways you can handle that situation. And that creates a different excitement where you're not just writing the code, but you're seeing the evolution of people and how the teams are moving towards being able to deliver a solid and great high quality product. So.